Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the eCommerce Lab by Ecomcy, the place of everything related to Amazon, FBA, private label, and e-commerce. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, founder and CEO of Ecomcy, and today we bring another special guest. His name is Jivko, and he's actually the co-founder of Ancestral Superfoods, which is actually a very nice company, and you're gonna know in this episode why. Like the journey that Jivko went through in terms of engineering this product from basically a lesson that he experienced throughout his life is actually very inspiring. And we're also going to be talking about all the lessons that he had to go through in terms of having a business, basically opening a business from scratch, which I know is something that we e-commerce founders struggle, especially at the beginning. Like, what are some of the right decisions? What are some of the things you have to do when you do mistakes and so on? So it's going to be a very interesting episode. It's a pleasure to have you here, Jivko. So thank you very much for coming. How you doing, my friend?
It's also a pleasure for me to be your guest, Vincenzo, and to share my story with your audience. And it's perfect. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you. We met actually in Sofia, in Bulgaria. We were actually at the event that were everything related to e-commerce, actually Nicola event. Amazing event. It was a whole stadium that was huge, like so many service providers and manufacturers and people that were basically from the Balkans region. So it was a very good experience. Yeah, that's where we met. And when you told me a little bit about your story, I actually found it super interesting because I feel, first of all, your story, is inspiring in terms of all the things that you had to go through to get where you are right now, and the pros are also unique. I think
Mhm.
this is gonna be an episode where people are gonna learn how you can convert sometimes your struggles, but also your passion into a business. And I'm very excited to bring this to the table. So, Jivko, tell us a little bit about yourself so people can know you better, and then of course we can dive further into the topic. Yeah.
Yeah, so my name is Jivko. I'm 40 years old. I have two kids. So this is
Good.
one of my most precious things in life that I have. And my journey as entrepreneur started actually in 2009. This was when I have created my first company. And actually, this journey was more or less influenced by health struggles that I was going in. So the first reason was that I was diagnosed with Hashimoto disease and metabolic disorder. So then I started to read more about food, the effect of food on our body, and actually how ultra processed food is influencing the health. And I was actually a victim of ultra processed food, more or less, because this was my habit. Also, as a student, I was trying
Hmm.
to get quick fix and not thinking
Yeah.
a lot about,
Quick
cooking.
and cheap also, cheap food as well.
Quick and cheap, yeah. But then
Yeah,
you pay also
the price.
very, very high price for these mistakes. And actually, when the doctor said, okay, you have this autoimmune disease and complete hormonal disbalance, and they told me you are in risk of getting a heart attack. So this was like a waking up call for me. So I
Yeah.
decided, okay, I'm going to use this experience to change my life. And I started to do sport, started to convert to whole plant-based diet and to a lot of to educate myself about food actually. And I decided also to come back to Bulgaria because I was studying in Germany and all my friends and relatives, they were more or less in Bulgaria, and decided just to come back because it was less pressure for me and just to recover more or less from this illness. And then I discovered in Germany a very famous drink back then. It's called Bionate. And so
Mhm.
my first choice was, yeah, why not import this drink in Bulgaria? It's something new, it's unique. Nobody's importing it. And then I started to write emails to the company. So I am Živko, I want to import your drink in Bulgaria. And they were like, okay, we don't care.
Yeah.
this is this is a market that is not interesting for us.
Yeah.
And then I decided, okay, just I will skip Germany. So I have written email to the Austrian representative. And then
Hmm.
after a couple of weeks, so a phone call came from Austria. And the guy was like that, okay, if you want to start, then you have to import this amount of pallets and we can
Okay.
start the deal. And actually, this is how I started. So, completely,
Wow.
absolutely no experience. I just imported some thousands of bottles, and then I was having this issue, so I have to sell them
Yeah.
because they have an expiration date. And then I
Wow.
started with a backpack full of drinks and bottles, going through shops and cafes and clubs in Sofia, in the capital, and just offering the drink. And this is how I started to build up a network of clients and actually mm, growing this business. So to certain time, I was also having more or less the import rights for Romania and Greece, just before Bionet was bought by Radeberger, this big
Yeah.
beer
Corporation.
concern. Yeah,
Hmm. Cool.
and yeah, then I started importing organic products from one of the biggest French companies, and after that, I founded with friends the first vegan restaurant in Sofia. And after that, it it was the second so defining moment in my life that came. This was the stroke. So I was 30
Hmm.
years back then in Austria. I got this stroke,
Hmm.
and I was in the emergency care unit. So I was not knowing if I'm going to survive or not. So I just started calling friends and people that are precious to
Hmm.
me just to say goodbye, because I
Yeah.
was not knowing if I'm going to get out and survive or
Hmm.
not. And then during these uncertain times, moving from hospital to hospital, I was having time to reflect what is important for me and what I'm going to do if I survive. And then this idea about sprouting and fermented functional foods came just like a glimpse, something that maybe
Hmm.
I could do. And after I recovered, I decided to turn this idea into reality and then started working on this.
Yeah. I think, first of all, congrats on everything you managed to overcome. That's something that, most people will definitely be taking down and not record. Like the fact that you managed to go over that and come to where you are right now is amazing. And I think at the same time, it's a lesson for everybody, listening and watching the episode, because I feel it's all about how we take our losses and our struggles and then convert them into opportunities. And that's exactly
Yeah.
what you did, right? Like, you could easily just throw the towel and say, I'm sick, I don't have any more options here, and just don't focus on improving yourself. But the fact that you went so much deeper into finding a solution, then at the same time, that's what I also tell to all my clients or people that talk to me. Like, usually when you have a struggle, so many other people are also having the struggle. So then if you figure out how to fix it, usually that's a business idea right there, right? And that's
Yeah.
exactly what you did. And I like the fact that you mentioned you didn't know anything about business, but you still went for it. I think sometimes you're never going to have the perfect plan. It's all about jumping into the pool and figure out how to swim in between, right? You don't know how to swim, but you still jump, and then once you are in the pool, you then have to figure out. And that's
Yeah.
something that I feel most entrepreneurs we have to go through. Now, let's go a little bit back, with the part of starting the business, right? Because I guess
Mhm.
once you discover this new opportunity, especially with the company now, Ancestral Superfoods, in terms of how you can use this kind of product to, provide to the specific niche that they want to get over processed food. How you even go started in terms of, figuring out where to manufacture these products, how to bring them to reality? Like, what were some of the obstacles you encountered at the beginning, and how you overcome them, so people can also learn from them? Yeah.
So I was in the beginning, I was thinking a lot about how I can produce these products and
Hmm.
how I can find this solution actually about
Hmm.
producing sprouting and fermented functional foods in a safe way. Because
Hmm.
there with sprouts there are certain risks actually when you
Yeah.
sprout at home, for example, related with hygiene and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And then
Hmm.
I stumbled on a microbiologist. He's a doctor of sciences in Hungary who was working with. His actually whole background is working with cancer patients and
Mm.
making
Okay.
this sprouted food just to give to cancer patients and to check what is the effect actually of the food regarding on
Hmm.
their health. And um, I had already more or less the idea about the brand Ancestral Superfoods because I wanted that this brand is more or less focused on European ingredients and some knowledge back from our ancestors in Europe. And because my background is not in business but in Nordic philology and history and
Mm,
mythology as well, I
okay.
decided to bring also these old cultures like old Germans, Celts, and Thracians to make
Yeah.
them part of the products. So more or less, these images on the packaging is related to them. And this is how I came to this scientist, and I presented him my idea. Also, what I'm thinking about the ingredients and the combinations for the products. And we made tests and we find out actually what is working best. And this is how we started with the first products of the company, first four products.
Interesting. Interesting. Now, when it comes to doing this kind of brands, when it comes to food, I'm sure one of the main questions people may ask, because I get this a lot,
Mhm.
people that want to do supplements and things that have to do with food, or things that you have to ingest. How you went to the phase of making sure consumers will like this, right? Because especially with food, there's a lot of things that have to do with the taste of how of the
Mhm.
product, the quantities, the different bundle ideas you can come up with. So, and the reason why I make you this question is because now I want to bring a little bit strategy to the conversation in terms of how you sit down as the co-founder of your brand and then figure out, okay, these are some of the flavors or some of the combinations I can bring to market to basically provide the value that my consumers are doing. Like, are you doing any kind of market research? Do you use some kind of tool to figure that out? So how you come up with those ideas in terms of the pros you can launch?
Yeah, so first I browsed actually what is the biggest, in my perspective, problem that these products could influence in a good way. So
Mm-hmm.
I discovered a lot that people are more or less affected by leaky guts and microbiome, so problems in the microbiome. So
Mm-hmm.
then I, of course, backtracked this, checking scientific papers about how fermented and sprouted foods are influencing the gut health. And this was actually the idea for me. Okay, we make these functional foods to benefit the gut health, and
Mm-hmm.
then we make different combinations to specific needs. For example, we have a
Okay.
product for female health.
Mm-hmm.
Main driver for this product is gut health, but also the let's say from the ingredients inside, it has micronutrients which are beneficial for female health. And this is how we
Mm-hmm.
created the first product for female health, then we have a product for male health, then we have a
Interesting.
product for mental clarity, because from sprouted brown rice you have natural occurring GABA amino acid, which is beneficial for the brain function. And
Yeah.
this is a product who is actually supporting gut health, metabolism also, and
Mm-hmm.
brain function as well. And then we have a product which is high in protein, but it's a more complex functional food. It's not pure
Mm-hmm.
protein powder. It has also this GABA inside. It has fibers and real fruits, not aromas and stuff like that. And this is
Okay.
how we started. And of course, then the question was, okay, how is the brand going to look
Exactly.
like? What is the
Yeah.
packaging? What is the
Yeah.
packaging size and the taste? And what we have done is actually making a test batch. And
Okay.
this test batch we started in the on the Bulgarian market,
Yeah.
and then we got feedback from the clients regarding the product design, the packaging, and the taste of the products. And all
Okay.
this feedback we implemented, and we changed the packaging. We changed
So you
some of
went
the.
you went through different iterations of packaging flavors and all of
Yes.
that.
So with this test batch, actually, our idea was to verify if this is the right direction
Yeah.
that we're going.
Cool. So
And
I
then
guess
we
when you
come to
went
the
through,
final packaging in pouches.
yeah.
And
Go on. Sorry. And then I have an interesting question for you.
yeah. And of course, then all the other stuff like for me, important was that we have a good team, and that
Yeah.
in this good team, everyone can have a role which he suits best and can help the business grow. So we are the co-founders of the company. We are actually the ones which are dedicated 24/7, more or less. And we have built also a team outside of the company, so from freelancers,
Okay.
but these freelancers are like part of our family, so they're with us since the beginning, and without them, we wouldn't be able to develop Ancestral Superfoods at all because, for
Love
example,
it.
Tsvetan, he's developing the whole brand as a design and
Mm.
everything, the whole visual
Yeah, the
part.
color, the yeah, how it
Yeah.
looks and everything. Hmm.
And Tony is
Right.
responsible for our digital marketing. So personally, my background in digital marketing is zero. So I'm
That's
also
actually
having,
important that you mentioned that, because I feel a lot of people when they want to do a business and want to implement their idea, they think they have to do it by themselves. But I
yeah,
think based on the conversation we're having, it looks like having a team for you was key, right?
yeah.
You will say that without a team you wouldn't be able to do it, right?
Yeah, for me, it's always this kind of a driver. If I don't know something, if I don't have my experience so that I can say I can do it, I try to find the right persons that are professionals in this field and that they can do it. This is
Yeah,
actually what you should do in a business as well.
yeah. Yeah, that's the fastest way, to be honest, to grow a team. Learn how to delegate and find the right people and put in the right position so they can drive those units for you, and you focus on actually working on the business rather than in the business, which is unfortunately what most people do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I bet when you went through this phase of figuring out the product, the packaging, flavors, and all that, you did a lot of costly mistakes, I'm sure. And you
Yeah.
did some things that, were, learning lessons for you. So maybe it would be interesting if you can remind us one of them and how you pivoted from that, because I'm sure that mistake you did is something that maybe some of our listeners and the ones watching can avoid from making.
So one of the mistakes that we have done and was quite costly for us was when we were switching to pouches from the original packaging.
Hmm.
We hadn't browsed enough to find enough options where we can produce these pouches, and we trusted. This was my mistake actually.
Hmm.
One specific producer who is actually using a flex print technology, which is actually quite good in big volumes. But in our specific case, it was too expensive for us, and also it was not optimal regarding the quality of the products, more or less. So we paid a lot for a lot of pouches,
Hmm.
which in the end, many of them we had to throw away. So this
Wow.
was like one mistake that you are, of course, paying dearly for it. And there
Yeah.
are a lot of stories like that. When you
Yeah.
don't have enough, let's say, good planning of the production, you're
Yeah.
many times overproducing or underproducing your products so that you cannot cover the demand actually, and this is
I know.
also a mistake.
Yeah, actually, when it comes to production, I feel that's where people do a lot of mistakes, mainly because at the beginning they trust their own people, and I think that's something that, just as an advice to add my 2 cents here, it can easily be, to some extent, be avoided, like by using an inspection. Like you can use an inspection company to do this for you, figure out if the packaging is the correct one, the manufacturer capabilities, the procedure. Because yes, this mistake you're mentioning is something that I hear multiple times, and it's something that, if you use the right agent that can inspect this for you in beforehand, which I know is an extra expense, but what is better, to pay the extra expense or have a like 2-3 dozen units that then you cannot properly use, right? So
Yeah, in
it's
any case, you're paying extra price
yeah,
for your
exactly.
mistake, or just you hire a professional who can do everything for you, just the whole structuring of the brand and certification of production and everything.
Correct.
This is.
Now, something I want to bring to the table as well is that it seems like at the beginning you were focusing more on the retail side, but I know you also now focusing on e-commerce. So you're
Mhm.
going online, and it would be interesting to learn about how's that journey going so far. So tell us so far, when it comes to e-commerce, what are some of the strategies you've been implementing, and how you see e-commerce in general, not only Amazon, being a part of, the key elements to grow your brand forward. Yeah.
So we started actually first with a Wix page in Bulgaria, which
Mm-hmm.
was actually a big mistake because we were unable to customize it and also to adapt it to the Bulgarian language at all. So it
Yeah.
was actually practically not working at all for e-commerce as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then when Tony joined the team, so we completely redesigned the whole web page and the whole
Mm-hmm.
let's say online shop. So we moved to WooCommerce and WordPress, and we integrated a lot of plugins that were helping us automate the process. So
Yeah.
more or less, we started with these four products, but then we developed also other products in this whole journey with the e-commerce, which were actually more growing the customer basket, let's say like that. And we started with advertising on Facebook as a beginning. Then we integrated email marketing. And then COVID hit, and actually almost everything stopped. And during
Pretty much.
this COVID times, so then I dedicated myself to create a Facebook group, which I
Mm-hmm.
built up like a community. So it has grown to almost 19,000 people,
Yeah.
and we started to use different kind of tools and strategies. So we started implementing Google Ads as well.
Yeah.
Now we are thinking about implementing also a chatbot who is going to help us with
Mm.
conversions on the web page. With We are switching from Mailchimp to Klaviyo because Klaviyo is giving us more
A lot
options
of
for the e-commerce
strategy.
part.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and we have also found that creating bundles according to problems that the customers are looking works very well for us as well. So
That's
we
key.
made it we made it bundles of products so, which were on a more or less a discounted price so that people can directly buy what they search for because the bundles are like detox and
Mm-hmm.
good
That's
digestion and
interesting.
stuff like that.
Actually, that's a great idea. I want to pivot a little bit on that because I had a couple of conversations with people in the space, and I think what people do as a mistake a lot of times is that they don't tailor the offer to a specific niche. Because in your case, of course, your product is tailored toward, as you mentioned, detox. People is only looking for detox products, or people is only looking for muscle mass or things like that. And if you don't tailor the bundle only to communicate that single idea and that's it, and you still focus on what most people do, that this is just a healthy product but it's very broad, then you actually not communicating to the client that this is the product you must have, as in your case you did with the bundle. So that's a quick win that any brand can do, like just by changing the tonality and the keywords and the images. It's
Yeah.
exactly the same product, it's just how you communicate it, right? And then you target specific audience. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to find your specific keywords also because, for example, when we targeted superfoods in Google
Mhm.
Ads, it wasn't working for us
Super
at all.
broad, super broad.
It's
Yeah.
super broad, yeah, and so you have to know which problems your product is solving and just target the search that people are doing for these kind of problems, so for solutions for these kind of problems. And
Hmm.
of course, make uh, as diverse as possible your channel strategy, like omni-channel strategy, because relying only on Facebook
Yeah.
ads is not sustainable. So we discovered this actually. Um, so then we decided just to build up another channels for us, like as I mentioned, Google Ads. We started
Hmm.
with working with influencers, also affiliate partnerships with nutritionists and health specialists who have already trusted audience because for adoption of your product, if it goes through a person like that who has his audience of, let's say, customers who are loyal, then
Yeah,
it would
exactly.
be the
If
right
you
way for
recommend a
you.
product, they will trust
Yeah.
you. Hmm.
Yeah. And then when they try the product and see that it's working, then you have loyal customers right away. So it's
Yeah.
not like fighting to find new customers doing some top of the funnel advertising, which is too expensive.
Yeah. On top of that, I think something that I will be interested to discuss about is how in your current operation in terms of strategy, you are taking consideration lifetime value, right?
Mhm.
Because I feel with your type of products, maybe the first purchase is not the one that actually you make the most money because you pay the customer acquisition cost, but it's
Yeah.
the fact that once they discover your brand, they keep coming back and buying other products, the bundle, and they basically start upselling them, right? So tell
Mhm.
us a little bit about how you, as a founder, together with your team, are doing strategies to increase the lifetime value of your clients. Yeah.
So first, we try to have a very good contact with our customers and to support
Mhm.
them as much as we can, and also to give them value. So when they have questions, we are there to answer. So I am, for example, one of the customer support in the company because
Good.
I want to call all my customers more or less personally and just speak with them what they like about the product, what they
Yeah.
don't like. We make a lot of surveys also with our customers, and then
Interesting.
we have built up options so that they can buy more products on discounted price, like variations of a product.
Hmm.
And then this is something like a subscription without having a subscription, because when they buy like three products for a discounted price or six, this immediately like supply for 1 2 months. And
Cool.
we have a lot of customers that are using this option, also a lot of customers which are regular clients, and we are now building up a membership system for them,
Hmm.
also with perks and benefits that we're going to integrate. We're going to build up also a subscription model and a lot of other techniques that we're going to test for just upselling and increasing the customer lifetime value.
Interesting. And now, from the perspective of strategies that I know are very important for e-commerce brands, such as newsletter, tell us how important for you, for example, is important newsletter. Is that something you feel is giving you a lot of results in terms of conversion, or you feel most of the sales come from e-commerce? What is your experience with that?
For us at the moment is something like 20-30% of the monthly turnover. So of course, this is
Okay.
a channel which is less expensive than making Facebook ads and Google ads, and is
Yeah.
one that I think all brands or people who wanted to start business in this kind of field, doesn't matter if it's only food, but general, they have to put extra emphasis on email marketing and just growing their new subscriber list with quality subscribers. Because we had also this experience, we started with like giving free ebooks and
Yeah.
some kind of other presents when you subscribe, but you see in the end that a lot of these subscribers you cannot convert them. So
Yeah. You get a
this
lot
was,
of waste in terms of leads that only want free things, but they're never gonna buy from you.
yeah,
Yeah.
and actually you fill up your amount of subscribers to your subscription plan in Mailchimp or Klaviyo, and you're just paying money for nothing, more or less.
Hmm. Yeah.
So then
Interesting.
we decided just to change the strategy and focus on, let's say, people who are really wanting to subscribe and be part of this journey by giving them a lot of more or less benefits, just useful
Awesome.
content, free plans, just like free detox plans
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Something that is going to be useful for them, not just
Yeah.
get this product for free or get a discount and stuff like that.
Interesting. Well, Jivko, I mean, we discussed some interesting things, and I'm sure, especially for all our listeners and the ones watching that looking to grow their brand from scratch, they're gonna feel so inspired and get a lot of insights about how to implement some of the things you discussed. Before we conclude, anything else you want to share in terms of maybe a last tip or last strategy or something you're very excited for 2024, so we can conclude today's episode?
So I would give them the tips so that they look outside of the most regular ways to do e-commerce and just
Mm,
to not focus on overly how to say competitive markets, but to
yeah.
look for niches which where they can create blue oceans. So this
Yeah.
is very important because, let's say, for example, if Europe is too overcrowded and too competitive regarding these kind of products, why not look east, or why not look in
Hmm.
directions of Africa? So you
Exactly.
have to be flexible and just yeah, and also to be as lean as possible. So just
Exactly.
when you don't
Keep your
have,
expenses down.
yeah, keep your expenses down. And yeah, why building a factory when you can work with somebody who is already having
Yeah,
a factory? So just use
yeah,
his capacity and focus on brand and brand building and marketing. This is
exactly.
what I have discovered actually works for us, and I'm always
Awesome.
sharing also with friends and others.
Cool. So, in case anybody wants to reach out to you, ask any questions, or maybe find your brand, where people can, get in contact with you.
So they can get in contact with us on ancestralsuperfoods.com, also on ancestralsuperfoods.co.uk. This is our UK branch, and they can find also the products in UK and Amazon as well. So this is currently what we are more or less focused on.
Awesome, Jivka. So, thank you so much. Been a pleasure, and I can't wait a couple of years to see how big you grow this brand because I'm sure this is just the beginning. And yeah, I'm
Thank you,
super
Vincenzo.
excited. So, I appreciate all your knowledge. Yeah, let's keep in
Yeah,
touch. Thank
thank
you.
you very much, and also I wish all the best for the audience as well.
Thank you. Have a nice one. Bye bye.